Hi, my name is Dr. Gia Caligdan Apostle, care mentor and social work faculty member of Stockton University. Today I'm going to talk about test-taking strategies for students. Test-taking is actually one of the skills that we have to use when we are students. Obviously, we take tests, and this is part of our assessment, especially when faculty members would grade you and make sure that your assessment is on par with the standards of your curriculum. Let's begin with test-taking tips. One of the things we have to do is, of course, follow directions. And you might want to budget your time when you see the test. Skip over difficult questions. Make an educated guess through the process of elimination. Supposing there are 4 items, and maybe there are 2 items that are really out there, and so therefore you need to eliminate it. Review your test before turning it in. Test preparation tips. When you take a test, it is really important that you prepare. Test anxiety is quite common, but in order to reduce it, then you begin by getting enough sleep and using self-talk. For example, you need to say, you're going to do this, you're going to make it, you're going to get 100, whatever is your goal, you will want to do it. And it's a state of mind, and your body follows. You take practice tests, especially if your teacher has samples of the tests that you're going to take. You review your textbook, class notes, and materials given by instructor. Usually, an instructor will give you some sample tests to take home with you, and that you can review through that. And then, of course, your faculty member, your teacher or lecturer will also provide you some review sessions. This may be true to some of the programs, but others also do this very tediously. You set priorities. You fight that procrastination. That's the P word. Procrastinate, procrastinate. That's not going to go anywhere. And you might fail if you procrastinate or delay some of the things that you need to do. You get your instructor's study guide. I usually give study guide to my students, so ask for it. The teacher may be able to give you some samples of the tests that you need to take. Ask questions, review your notes on a daily basis, and usually the trick here is when you have a lesson on Monday and Wednesday, you might want to take about 15-20 minutes each night to go over the notes that you have taken during that lecture. Plan out a study schedule. Cramming does not work. People say, well, you're going to do an all-nighter. It doesn't work really, because then you're going to be sleep deprived, and then you don't eat, you don't follow certain rules on how to be prepared for the test the next day. Now, for example, I will give you some true-false questions, and then let's take a look at these bubbles here. In answering true-false questions, we say that there are more true answers than false answers on most tests. You read each question carefully and pay attention to key words. And there are qualifiers. What are they? Those are things like never, always, and every, which means that the statement must be all true all of the time. There are also other qualifiers like never, always, and every mean statement is true all of the time, leading to a false answer. Okay? So if any part of the question is true, it does not necessarily make the entire statement to be true. And if any part of the question is false, then the entire statement is usually false. Now, matching type questions. Now, these are kind of easy because the answers are already there. All you have to do is match one variable with another. So here is what you do. You read the list on the right which contain the answer choices, and this technique will alert you to all possibilities for answers. And you always go through the entire list so you can get a bird's eye view of the answers to the questions on the left, right? And use the process of elimination after you have finished using the answers you are sure are correct. And of course, always review your answers. So this is matching type with A and other variables B, C, and D from left to right. Now, there are also short answer or sentence completion, and which means you are going to fill in the blanks, some of the concepts that are given to you. So, how do you start this? You reread the question several times. Repeated reading may help you recall what you have reviewed. And you look for context cues. Context cues are those words or group of words that are significant to the full statement. Okay? Now, context cues. A and N are context cues. These are two different things. Now, you mark your statements. You cannot complete and return to them. And if you still cannot think about it, describe your answer, because you may bet some partial credit may be given to you if you're able to answer them partially. Okay. Now, how do you now answer essays? Here are the tips. Read the directions carefully. Write what is asked of you. Okay, so sometimes you have to reread them because some questions are quite overwhelming. Budget your time wisely. Make sure you have enough time to answer all of your essay questions. Okay, if there are 5 essay questions and you have 30 minutes, it means that you have to budget 10 minutes per question. If the question is asking for facts, provide the facts. And not any opinion that is experiential or personal. Facts are facts. But if the question is begging you to answer using your experience or experiences of others and description and narratives of others, then that's fine. But if facts are being asked, then define them. Handwriting essays must be written neatly. I see this with students. I mean, there are a lot of good essays, but if I can't read them, then it will be quite troublesome. The rules of writing applies to essay writing. Be mindful of grammar usage, punctuations, and above all, critical thinking. Because this is why we're giving you essays, to critically analyze certain concepts and views. Now, here are essay tips. 3 steps, and I'm going to kind of put it in a paradigm here. Plan, write, and review. Okay, so plan means you make a plan for how to answer the question, write a brief outline, and think and write some key facts. And then write means you write your essay, provide clear answers to the question, write your introduction, main body, and conclusion. And then you stay focused on one main idea for each paragraph. If there are a lot of different ideas and different paragraphs, then they are not holistically presented as an essay. Now, then you review your work, proofread, correct any errors, assess your work by asking these questions. Did I answer the question? Did I include everything that I know about this topic? Because sometimes, you know, with all these experiences you have and facts you have, that really contributes to a very good essay. Now, there are also open book tips. Sometimes instructors or lecturers would ask you that this is going to be an open book test. So here's how we're going to do this. Spend time preparing for an open book test. Not that you're just going to bring your book to the classroom, but you must prepare something. Know the contents of the chapters, including some key information. Write down information on a separate sheet, kind of providing the summary of each chapter of certain books, certain chapters of the books that you're going to cover for your test. And this will save you time and less anxiety looking for the page as to where the concepts are. Highlight important points by using some tools such as colored pens and post-it notes. And if you own your book, write on the right pages of the book. After all, if it's yours, then you're able to tab some of those concepts by writing them down on the right pages, on the right hand of the pages of the book. Always answer the easy questions that you already know the answers to without referencing the book, because you know you have a wealth of knowledge for all the semesters that you have been doing this, so you may be able to pick up those things that you have retained during the lecture. So open book tips is then we talk about after the test. Okay, all right? There's always a before, during, and after. Now here's the after. You focus on what you did well. You know, you have anxieties after the test, like, did I do well? Check your paper for any grading errors, because when they are returned to you by the professor, maybe you have some questions, and that's okay. meet with a professor and talk to him or her about it. And then meet with your instructor to see if there are any makeup exam. Let's say you really didn't do well, or some extra credit that you can do to increase your low scores. And that's also okay, especially for those professors who look at different learning capacities that you have, and some are good with oral and others are good at writing, and you might be in between. So approaching the professor is the best way to do. Now, here's the study plan. A study plan is like a mapping of what you're going to do for the semester. So here you assess your current schedule, okay? You create a healthy balance between your studies, your social life, and of course your sleep. Okay, so in college, and I've known this, I've been in college, you know, being sleep deprived is not gonna do you well. So here you assess your schedule based on how many hours you're going to allocate for your studies, for your social life, for your sleep, and some other tasks that you do. If you're a parent or a single mother, that becomes a factor too in your overall current schedule. List all the subjects you need to study for. Okay, so here you rank the subjects by how confident you are, and then rank them. Usually you attack the easiest to the hardest, but there are also some other students who would prefer the hardest first and the easier later on. But that's up to you. And then you schedule your study session in 30 to 45-minute blocks. So shorter time blocks are easier to manage rather than long drawn hours of library work or school work. So short breaks can rejuvenate your body and mind. And in fact, it also rejuvenates our back. Believe it or not, if you're sitting there for 2 hours, it's not good for our bodies. We need to move, stand up 5-10 minutes, and then kind of go around the room or go outside, get some fresh air. It will rejuvenate you. Always have your calendar or planner with you. And I do have a sample here. This is my calendar. And what I do is I actually use this for writing and making sure all the tips, all the people that I have met and will talk to are all here. Thank you to the staff of CARE program as well as Stockton University's Computer Services for giving me the opportunity to share this knowledge with you.